She didn't notice the moment everything changed, because nothing felt wrong. It felt right. And that's exactly why she trusted it. It didn't start with money. It didn't start with pressure. It didn't even start with love. It started with something much smaller. A message, a conversation, a routine, and slowly, without urgency, without warning, that routine became a connection. And that connection became something she believed in. This is a story about how something that feels real can slowly become something else. Not all at once, but step by step, until one day you look back and realize you were already too far in. Welcome to When Money Goes Wrong. Real stories, calm clarity, hard lessons. Linda was 60 years old. She had built a life defined by stability, not by chance, but by discipline. She worked for over 3 decades in a regional insurance office. She understood structure. She understood responsibility. She understood money. She paid off her home, avoided unnecessary debt, saved consistently. There were no dramatic risks in her life, and that's exactly how she preferred it. After her husband passed away, her life changed. Not suddenly, not in a way that disrupted everything, but gradually. The house became quieter. Evenings stretched longer. Conversations became less frequent. She adapted. She always did. But over time, something shifted. Not a need, but a space. Linda wasn't actively looking for someone, but she was open. And that's different. She created a profile on a dating platform. Simple, honest, no expectations, just curiosity. Most messages were easy to ignore, too generic, too obvious, too fast. But one was different. Hi, Linda. I almost didn't send this, but something about your profile felt genuine. It didn't feel scripted. It didn't feel forced. It felt real. His name was Robert. His profile showed a man in his early 60s. Confident. Calm. He described himself as working overseas on engineering projects. It sounded stable, grounded, and most importantly, consistent. Their conversations developed naturally. No rush, no pressure, just steady communication. He asked thoughtful questions. He remembered details. He listened. And over time, that attention began to stand out. Because it wasn't overwhelming, it was consistent. Within weeks, the communication became part of her day. Morning messages, short updates, evening conversations. Nothing excessive, just enough to feel present. And once something becomes part of your routine, it becomes part of your life. The conversations became more personal. He shared stories about his past, about loss, about being far from home. And Linda shared too. Her life, her routines, her quiet moments. And slowly, the connection deepened. There was always one detail that explained everything. He was far away, working on a long-term project, in a place that made communication difficult, travel impossible. At the time, it made sense. Trust didn't happen suddenly. It built over time, through consistency, through repetition, through small moments that felt real. And by the time Linda realized it, she trusted him. Not completely, but enough. The change didn't come all at once. It came in a message. "I didn't want to tell you this." That sentence changes everything. Because now, there is a problem. Robert explained he was dealing with a financial complication related to his work. Nothing dramatic. Just temporary. Something he expected to resolve soon. He didn't ask for help. He just shared. And that's what made it powerful. By sharing the problem without asking for anything, he positioned Linda in a specific role. Someone who cared. Someone who understood. Someone who might help. And at that point, helping didn't feel like a risk. It felt natural. The request didn't feel like a request. It came wrapped in hesitation. "I wouldn't ask you this if I had another option." That's how he said it. Carefully. Almost as if he didn't want to say it at all. Which made it feel honest. Robert explained that he was facing a temporary issue accessing his funds. Something administrative. Something that required time to resolve. But not something he could wait on. There was urgency. But not panic. Just enough pressure to make the situation feel real. At this point, Linda wasn't evaluating a stranger. She was listening to someone she spoke to every day. Someone consistent. Someone who had been present in her life for weeks. And that changes how decisions are made. She hesitated briefly. Not because it felt wrong, but because it felt important. Then she told herself something simple. It's temporary. And that thought made everything easier. She sent the money the same day. A few $1,000s. Not enough to change her life, but enough to matter. Enough to start something. His reply came quickly. Gratitude. Relief. "You have no idea what this means to me. I'll make this right, I promise." And in that moment, everything felt confirmed. The connection, the trust, the decision, all of it felt real. This is where the pattern begins. Action, followed by emotional reward. And that connection between the two is powerful because it makes the next action easier. A few days later, another message. "I thought everything would be resolved." Pause. But something unexpected came up. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't feel suspicious. It felt unfortunate. This time, the amount was higher. Not drastically, but enough to require another decision. Linda noticed that, but she also noticed something else. She had already helped once, which made helping again feel consistent. At this point, the question changes. It's no longer, "Should I do this?" It becomes, "Can I finish what I started?" And that shift is critical, because now the focus is on continuation, not evaluation. The conversations became more frequent, more personal, more connected. Linda found herself thinking about him throughout the day, waiting for his messages, noticing when they were late, and that emotional reliance changed everything. Robert began talking about what would happen next. "When this is over, we'll finally meet. I want to make this right in person." Those weren't just words. They were promises. And promises create expectation. Then came a subtle shift. "I haven't told anyone about this situation. I don't want to complicate things. I trust you." He never told her to stay quiet. But the result was the same. She didn't tell anyone either. No outside opinions. No second perspective. Only him. The pattern repeated. A problem. A request. Relief. Gratitude. Then another problem. Each time slightly different. Each time slightly more urgent. Each time slightly more expensive. The amounts increased gradually. 5,000. Then more. Then more again. Each time it felt temporary. Each time it felt like the last step. But it never was. At some point a thought appeared. This doesn't feel right. It wasn't loud. It didn't stop her. But it stayed. And the longer it stayed, the harder it became to ignore. By now, stopping felt difficult. Because stopping meant facing something uncomfortable. That the money might not come back. That the situation might not be real. That the connection might not be what it seemed. And continuing felt easier. Because it kept the possibility alive. Then came a message that felt different. More serious. More urgent. This is the final step. The amount was significantly higher. Enough to change everything. Enough to force a real decision. Her mind reacted immediately. This is too much. But her emotions responded faster. You've come this far. You can't stop now. He needs you. She opened her account. She saw her savings. Years of discipline, security, stability. And in that moment, logic and emotion collided. Emotion won. She sent it. At first, everything seemed normal. There was a response. There was gratitude. But something felt different. Less warmth. Less connection. Less presence. And this time, she couldn't ignore it. Because no, there was too much at stake. For the first time, the question didn't disappear. It stayed. Clear. Direct. What if this isn't real? This time, Linda doesn't explain it away. She doesn't distract herself. She doesn't replace the thought with something more comfortable. She sits with it. Something is wrong. Not in a way she can prove, but in a way she can feel. And that feeling is enough to slow her down. Robert is still there. Still responding. Still saying the right things. But something is missing. The consistency that once felt natural now feels uneven. The attention that once felt effortless now feels reduced. And the connection that once felt strong now feels slightly distant. Linda goes back through their conversations, not the way she used to. Not looking for comfort. Not looking for confirmation. This time, she's looking for truth. And that changes everything. The details begin to stand out. Small inconsistencies. Moments that didn't fully align. Things she noticed, but chose not to focus on. At the time, they felt insignificant. Now they feel connected. Like pieces of something larger. There isn't a single moment where everything collapses. No dramatic message. No sudden confession. Just a realization. Slow. Clear. Unavoidable. This isn't what she thought it was. She looks at his profile again. The photos. The details. Everything she once accepted without question. And then she does something simple. Something she never felt the need to do before. A reverse image search. It takes less than a minute. And it changes everything. The photos aren't his. They belong to someone else, a real person, with a different name, a different life. And in that moment, everything becomes clear. The connection, the consistency, the attention. None of it was random. None of it was spontaneous. It was built, step by step, to feel real, to feel safe, to feel like something worth trusting. Now the structure is obvious. First attention, then connection, then trust, then emotional dependency, then urgency, then financial decisions, each stage leading to the next, without pressure, without force, just progression. She opens her bank account, not to act, but to see, to understand. Each transfer, each decision, each moment, now sitting together. The toll is more than she expected, more than she ever imagined sending. Money built over years, gone in weeks. The financial loss is real, but it's not the deepest part. What hurts more is something internal. The trust she gave, the belief she had, the certainty she felt. Now all of it feels uncertain. And the question begins, how did I let this happen? She didn't let it happen all at once. She allowed it, one small step at a time, one decision, then another, each one reasonable on its own, each one easy to justify, until together they led here, because it was designed to feel that way, not obviously, not dramatically, but convincingly. Attention, consistency, understanding, everything that defines real connection, but used differently, used to guide decisions. The danger isn't always in what feels wrong, it's in what feels right. Because when something feels right, we stop questioning. And once we stop questioning, we start trusting. The next time something feels real, but not completely clear, take a moment, look closer, because sometimes the difference between love and something else is small enough to ignore. And that's exactly why it matters. This is when money goes wrong. Real stories, calm clarity, hard lessons.